Great morning, holy brothers and sisters, for the 24th of Kislev in the Kitzur Likutei Moharan. Today's lesson is called Activating Actualization, teaching number 25. Achavei lan mina, show us something. Bechoros 8b. Every person must remove himself from the imagination and rise up to the intellect. Then he will not go after imaginary desires, that is his animal desires, but rather he will follow his intellect. For the intellect absolutely rejects all bodily desires, and all these desires are the opposite of the intellect. The only existence these desires have is in the imagination, which is an animal faculty, for animals too possess the faculty of imagination, and they also have these same cravings. This is the reason why a person places his hands upon his sacrifice before offering it in the time of the holy temple, and why he must at the time confess all his sins over the animal, for all sins are the product of imagination. By placing his hands upon the animal and confessing his sins, all of his sins and his entire imaginative faculty are thereby transferred onto the animal, which corresponds to the imagination. Immediately following the placing of the hands comes the ritual slaughtering, whereby the animal is slaughtered as a sacrifice. Through this act, the imagination is subjugated and broken. This is the meaning of the verse, "The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit," Tehillim 51:19, namely, that the sacrifices are one and the same thing as the breaking of the imagination. Sins start inside imagination. Slaughtering subjugates all animal, devolving desires. Therefore, it is primarily from the holy temple, where the sacrifices are brought, that the spring of wisdom issues forth, since one merits wisdom precisely through the breaking of imagination. When the holy temple will be rebuilt speedily in our days, then the verse will be fulfilled, a spring will issue forth from the house of God. Yoel 4:8. May it happen speedily in our days. Amen. All this also corresponds to the shamir, which became extinct with the destruction of the holy temple. Sota 48a. The shamir was a species of worm that was able to eat through stone. It was used in the construction of the holy temple in place of cutting tools, since tools that could be used for war and bloodshed were not appropriate for the construction of a house of peace. The Mishnah in Sota 48a states that when the holy temple was destroyed, the shamir, Nofet, Sufim, an extraordinary type of honey, and men of faith all passed out of existence. Just as the stone was subdued and broken by the shamir, so it is when a person breaks his heart of stone and follows his intellect. For a person must renounce the obstinacy of his heart, which corresponds to the imaginative faculty in the heart, and to which is literally the behavior of an animal, and he must break his heart of stone to follow the intellect. There exists a potential intellect, an actualized intellect, and an acquired intellect. Once a person has broken his imaginative faculty, his faculty of intellect then ascends, since when one rises, the other falls. However, the intellect is still only in its potential state. It is still necessary to use the intellect, that is, to seek and to think with it in the service of God. When a person seeks with his intellect and puts it to use, his intellect then becomes actualized. This corresponds to the honey of Sufim, Nofet Sufim, which existed in the time of the holy temple, as in, your lips drip honey. Nofet, Shir Hashirim 4:11, alluding to the process whereby a person brings the sweetness of his intellect from potentiality to actuality, through the faculty of speech, alluded to by the lips. Subsequently, when a person grasps with his intellect all that the human mind can comprehend, his intellect then refers to acquired intellect. This acquired intellect is the only existence that a person has after his death, and this alone is all that remains of him. This is the concept of men of faith, Amanah, who lived in the time of the holy temple, Sota 48a. Amanah implies lasting existence, Malachim 8:26, and the acquired intellect, which is the holy intellect, and understanding that one acquired and attained in Torah study and devotions, is the essence of a person's lasting existence after death. Activate to achieve Amanah actualization. As always, thank you so much for learning together. If you enjoyed this lesson, please remember to like, comment, share, and borrow. And please God, we'll learn again tomorrow.